Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, I want to talk about why women can't seem to respect men. Because this is a fundamental issue regarding the dynamic between how men and women interact. And I think it's very difficult for both sides to understand where the other side is coming from. But before I get into it, let me say thank you to everybody who's been stopping by, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, even donating. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, please go ahead, click the subscribe button, click the bell symbol next to it, and accept the email notifications. It'll help me grow my channel, and I would really appreciate it. Now, why women can't respect men. And I've spoken about this before in other videos, and it really is the old Groucho Marx line of, I couldn't belong to any club that would have me as a member. And it's fascinating because if you accept modern feminism and the modern ideological line from the left regarding women, this is all going to seem very, very confusing to you. But don't be upset. Don't get upset, okay? But if a woman is going to spend hours on how she looks, and then someone else is going to be really impressed by how she looks, how could she possibly respect that person? How is it possible? Right? So if a man comes up to a woman and says, "You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in the world. I love you. I would do anything for you." She's got to think to herself, well, I'm flattered that someone thinks I'm beautiful, right? She's probably thinking that, but that's, relative to the, status that she attributes to the person making the compliment. For example, if the man making the compliment is a poor, ugly man, it doesn't mean anything to her. But if the man making the compliment is Brad Pitt, it means a lot to her, or it could potentially mean a lot to her. But what does this honestly say about the person, proclaiming undying love and adoration for the woman based on nothing but her looks? It's almost as if the woman would have to say to herself, really? Are you sure you love me? And are you sure you would do anything for me? In other words, she would want to put it to the test because it's absurd. So how could she respect someone who adored her based on nothing but her appearance? And that's all men are looking at. And by the same token, the women are merely looking at the man's resources, largely. That's what she's attracted to. And the man can't respect a woman who doesn't, understand him as an individual, doesn't understand his motivations and what he stands for, assuming that he is an individual and that he does stand for something. If he is just a materialistic, foolish man who has acquired some resources, and she is just a vain, surface-level female that is merely concerned with how she appears, I suppose that they make a fine couple, right? They're ideally suited to each other because they're both going to destroy each other. Neither one has anything to offer the other. And any attraction that they feel and attachment that they build would be based on just that, which is essentially nothing. Just meaningless surface, temporary, whimsical things that will change with the circumstances, with the wind, how she looks, how many resources he has compared to someone else. These things will fluctuate. You're seeing them in the best light. So this does bring up an interesting question, doesn't it? It's like, well, what would a woman respect in a man? What would a man respect in a woman? And some of you are thinking undying, unquestioning devotion. And that's just not true. That's not respectable. That's the worship of a dog. That's not even, it's baseless. It's groundless. It's like faith based on nothing. It's meaningless. And it's not respectable. So the woman cannot respect the man that is attracted to the woman for nothing but her physical appearance. And she shouldn't, because the man is nothing but a pawn to his own instincts. And the man can't respect the woman that's attracted to nothing but his resources. Why should he? So what is it that each of them wants or needs to find the other respectable and worthy? Since it's, not what's based on instinct, and it's not what's based on the surface, and it's not based on what the majority of people say it's based on. So what is it? Well, it's hard to say. I mean, I don't exactly know these things, but from my experience, the respectable thing is virtue. And when I say virtue, I'm talking about the practical skills, practices, and habits and discipline that a person has developed in order to survive. And from the Nietzschean point of view, these are those things which help you survive. And from an Ayn Rand point of view, they are not inconsistent with getting along with other people in a free, open market, right? So it's not just survival of the fittest and the weaker are going to be destroyed. It's survival of the smartest, and we're going to try to cooperate and work with each other, to get the maximum benefit and profit and efficiency out of the situation and sustainability out of the situation. And when you consider, virtue and ethical behavior from that point of view, I think it pretty much all adds up. You're going to be fair and honest and decent with people that are fair and open and honest and decent. And the other people, you're going to have to isolate them. You're going to have to kick them out of the system. You can't deal with them. They're going to exploit the system. And, they would call that virtue, right? Because it helps them get fat, because it's, the most profit with the least amount of effort. But it leads to their destruction. So it's not virtue. It's indulgence. It's temporary advantage. It's a lack of vision. It's a lack of planning. And it shows, it manifests in the body and in the life of the individual, this lack of virtue, this, misplaced set of priorities on just pleasing themselves. So I would say that these other set of virtues are respectable because they're sustainable and they lead to strength and prosperity and health. So when you look on that, it's like, yeah, that is desirable. I might not be able to define exactly what it is I like about everything working really nice and everything being in order and everything being fair and set up to, the advantage of the people who want to build a good life for themselves. I can't tell you exactly what it is I like about that, but I like it. And I can't, maybe the individual can't put his finger on what he doesn't like about the opposite situation. This kind of eternal slavery, this kind of eternal submission, this kind of you're going to work your whole life, but it's not really going to be to your advantage. It's going to be to other people's advantage, and so that, you don't get more damaged, so that you can survive day to day, and other people hold just these ridiculous advantages. The individual doesn't have to know that that's a bad life. That's a bad way to be moving through life. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants bondage. Nobody wants slavery. Nobody wants debt slavery. Nobody wants slavery to their own weaknesses. In other words, I'm so far in debt because I've spent so much money that I have to just work in this situation that I find detestable and unbearable and degrading. Nobody wants that. You're not going to be looking at your child or somebody that you care about and saying, and you have this to look forward to. That's terrible. That's horrible. So you can see that the woman is going to be looking on this type of a situation and she's going to be saying, oh, that's desirable. I don't know why, but I certainly like those conditions better than these other set of conditions. But she's not going to recognize the virtues and the strengths and the character that it takes to create that situation, right? Just like the man is looking at the attractive, healthy, viable female, and he's attracted to her, but he's not exactly aware of the circumstances that it's going to take to create that type of a female. A healthy, attractive, decent attitude, agreeable female that's intelligent and, attractive to particular men. Well, actually, that's the whole thing. She'll be attractive to all men, right? But all men are not worthy of her. And when I say worthy, it's an interesting thing for a MGTOW to say. What I mean is that just because the man wants her doesn't mean that he has those other set of virtues to build the sustainable future that is so attractive to the female, that is so respectable to the female. So it's interesting because, I'm coming to this idea of something being attractive and desirable, but the individual is not being aware of the qualities and the virtues that it takes to create that type of an individual, that type of a situation. So they're not valuing the right thing. In other words, the men are simply attracted to the beauty and not aware of the fact that, no, you've got to create an entire bio system to create healthy women, attractive women. You've got to have a whole healthy environment. Have you guys noticed that the women are becoming less attractive over time? They are. They're becoming less attractive. They're not taking care of themselves. They're becoming overweight. They have a terrible attitude. The environment is off to creating attractive women, females. So, and likewise, it's the same on the female side. She's attracted to the resources that the man has, okay? But the resources should merely be an indicator of the man's virtue, okay? But in this environment, which is maladaptive, it's not. The man's resources can be an indication of his willingness to capitulate to an oppressive system. And he has none of the virtues to be strong sustainably into the future. So, it comes down to, do you want the respect as a man from a stupid woman who's merely admiring you for your resources and not for the character, the strength, the discipline, the practices, the personality that it takes to create and produce those resources? She just wants what you can produce, not who you are. And from the female point of view, there's a young, attractive, beautiful woman, nice personality, intelligent, nice manners, and all men find her sexually attractive, or, most all men find her sexually attractive. That is a man who makes nothing and never tried to make anything of himself and is content to, live at the lowest level of life. And the man who possesses all those virtues, which I just spoke of. They're all attracted to her, but they're not aware that, she is a product of her environment, especially socially and culturally. This is something that's becoming very, very hard to escape from, is that women are a product of their culture. They adopt to these kind of levels. So if the culture becomes corrupt, the women become corrupt, and it destroys the men. Anyway, that's a video for, another time. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. And, there's more to say on this subject. Let me know what you think about it in the comments section below. And please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate, and join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.